Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Roger Shado, the internet personality who is out on his ass out in the middle of the night because everyone's saying, oh, we're too sleepy. We can't have you downstairs on the couch yelling and screaming at the camera right now because we're all trying to sleep. And I'm like, I can't delay filming, though. And they're like, but you can't do it right now. I'm like, but I can't delay filming, though. And they're like, but you can't do it right now. And I'm like, I can't fucking delay filming. So here I am outside filming. Anyhow, it's time for Carnosaur 3 in Dinosember 2, the return of the revenge of the resurrection. Last year I covered most of the Jurassic Park franchise and a couple other dinosaur flicks in Dinosember. That was supposed to be a one-shot thing, but as it turned out there were quite a few movies I didn't get to that people really wanted me to review. So many, in fact, that it was very easy to fill out another month's worth of videos in the schedule. And with that in mind, I decided to take on Carnosaur 3, which is the third movie in the Carnosaur series. Which you probably could tell from the title. Released again 1 year after the previous film in the series, in 1996, and again produced by Roger Corman, Carnosaur 3 continues this series by ignoring the story entirely. Yeah, dinosaurs come back, but not only do they ignore the mad scientist plot from the first movie, they also ignore the suddenly discovered eggs from the second. Fortunately, that means they also stop ripping off the Alien series, but the point is there is a new source of this new threat with new faces who must come up with a new way to end this. And I'm fully anticipating that the next movie in the series is going to ignore all the events in this one and just pull something else out of their ass. But anyway, let's take a look at Carnosaur 3 and get the body count started. The movie opens to an army convoy, establishing first and foremost just how badass this cast of characters is going to be.
Hey Sarge, I gotta take a whiz.
This is the army. We don't make stops for calls in nature.
Yeah, but I really gotta go.
Where the fuck is Arlie Army when you really need him?
Whoa! What the hell was that?
That'll do. Of course, the thing to do when you find yourself being shot at is to come to an abrupt halt and scream incoherently while the bad guys lay waste to your pathetic resistance. Because after all, it's not like any of these guys were trained for this sort of shit.
Hello. No!
And of course, the terrorists have a charismatic leader, Dolan, played by Cyril O'Reilly. Why aren't real-life terrorists this much fun? They're always more interested in killing and scaring people. After the bad guys succeed in killing absolutely everyone without suffering a single casualty, they hijack the truck the guys were escorting and escape. Just in time for us to be introduced to the important characters in a completely unrelated area doing things that have no bearing on the plot and doing it badly.
Moving, I'll pop a cap in here.
Unprofessional behavior in the military? No, that's tactical sass. My issue was with the guy trusting that the enemy wasn't just going to shoot him in the fucking back and instead going to walk up and gently caress his shoulders into submission. Not exactly the best strategy, in my opinion. But it's no problem. Look, this is all just a training exercise, allowing us to meet the heroes for this tale. Coolidge, played by Terry Vaughn, Polchek, played by Rick Dean, and Colonel Higgins, played by Scott Valentine.
That exercise took 15 seconds off your last. 15 seconds! In a crisis situation, 15 seconds can mean 15 dead hostages.
Then wouldn't that mean by taking 15 seconds less, they saved 15 imaginary lives? That's not to say he has nothing to complain about. Remember I said Polchek is Rick Dean? Yeah, that's the same Rick Dean from Carnosaur 2 who played that annoying fuck monk. Guess what kind of character Polchek is?
All you have to do is, take a look at their ears, sir. I mean, they can hear you from like a half a mile away, sir.
Shut up!
He's an annoying-ass, giggly little fuck who has no concept of professionalism whatsoever. Where do they come up with these deep personalities for these people? But what's this? Higgins has a special secret message about a special secret mission.
You're not riding in my Jeep with that haircut, son.
Fine, fuck you. Instead of following him back to base, we get to see what's going on with the terrorists, getting ready to dig into the big haul of uranium. Except things aren't quite what they seemed.
I hope this shit isn't poisonous.
You were after uranium. Upon closer inspection, it turns out not to be the uranium they thought it was. Instead, it's something much, much worse.
Oh, damn it, no! No!
Not lizards! I don't want lizards! This is terrible! These are terrible lizards! Wait a minute. Little did they realize the dinosaurs were equipped with strobe lights and negative filters, rendering their epileptic defense useless. One man escapes, bleeding and running, but unfortunately for him, the cops show up.
Hold it right there! On the ground, you son of a bitch! Freeze!
What the fuck's your problem? What, you don't want to have to wash your uniform later? As one guy suffering from massive blood loss is far too much for these two to handle, they call for backup and explain the situation.
What are you getting gagged for?
Well, he's a nutcase. We can't make out a word he's saying, but we figure probably what's freaking him out is over in that warehouse over there.
Pay no attention to the gaping wounds or the teeth marks. It's probably just some punk kids with their stupid little pranks.
All right, men, let's go.
Stay calm. We'll be right back.
At what point was it decided that taking the man who was bleeding all over the chair to the hospital was not important? I know we have to establish the monster in this movie, but a little logical consistency here, please. Upon entering, they find out immediately that their preconceived ideas of being drug smugglers with small arms doesn't explain the big chunks of flesh, body parts, and huge fucking pool of blood in the middle of the room. Combined with the fact that they can't find a single drug or paraphernalia should mean they realize something is amiss. Of course, you can't underestimate the stupidity at work here.
There's got to be some kind of animal in there. There's no human being that could butcher like this.
Wrong, kid. That's just how these Arab smack peddlers operate. Helps them instill fear.
They rip their customers open with their powerful jaws. It's a tough business model, but they have somehow managed to make it work. Or it's a goddamn smack-peddling Tyrannosaurus. And it's evidently bulletproof. Or maybe it's like the hunting game, Carnivores, where you have to shoot him in the eye to kill him. Not to fear, for the team has arrived, ready to head in and secure the area, fully prepared for everything.
There's no uranium in here.
Except for the fact that they were denied critical need-to-know information. It's interesting to note they also took this long to figure out that uranium doesn't run around and rip people apart, but on the plus side, they are smarter than everyone else in this movie. Having no fucking idea what the hell they are up against, they follow the trail of blood into the back room, which of course has no electricity, so we just get to watch them poke around in the dark until this happens.
Is that Ferguson? Ferguson, come on, Ferguson, talk to me. What's going on?
Sir, I found the uranium, and it's pissed! This spells the end for both Coolidge and Ferguson, who I may as well now mention was played by Billy Burnett. With the casualties out of the way, the team retreats and runs like hell, bringing us to the debriefing they probably should have had before running in here to fight dinosaurs, introducing the head of the Carnosaur research team, Dr. Hodges, played by Janet Gunn. Naturally, Higgins is less than pleased to hear that they knew that they were dinos all along, but his request for reinforcements is denied by General Mercer, played by Anthony Peck, in his final role. Because nobody is allowed to know about the dinosaur things.
The project's top secret. The Pentagon had never let me authorize use of a conventional ground force. Besides, we need them alive.
And we figured the best way to go about that was to give you a bunch of guns, tell you it was uranium, and then just see what happens. Considering his team has been cut down to only 3 people, including himself, since the last encounter, Higgins wants a little help for next time. They accomplished this by giving him an explanation as to what the Carnosaurs are, which they probably should have covered before the first encounter.
But the T-Rex was genetically designed to be asexual, born with eggs already fertilized, which then allows her to reproduce indefinitely.
And the first movie had Carnosaurs as the result of a mad scientist's experiment to try and end all human life. And the second just had eggs that happened to be discovered in modern times. But this one, it's a government-controlled experiment for medical research conducted by myopic idiots.
It's best not to underestimate the Carnosaur's intelligence, as they all exhibit some human DNA.
What could ever go fucking wrong with that idea?
We weren't trained to hunt these mega dinosaurs. Why not just call in a crack platoon of weekend warriors?
Yeah, because I know as a fact that on the weekend they do hunt dinosaurs.
Yeah, you played one in the last movie. Through their masterful detective work, Polchik and Sanders, played by Roger Halston, determined that the Carnosaurs are probably carnivores, and therefore will most likely head over to this specific warehouse that ships beef across the Pacific. With that determined, they head into action. On today's episode of Jurassic Punk'd, Higgins is surprised by one raptor and forgets all about that take-him-alive order, but don't worry, it doesn't even get a scratch on him, safely wasting all of his ammo just in time for his buddy Raptor number 2 to jump out and rip Higgins to shreds. Fortunately, humans run faster than raptors and are more than capable of overpowering one when fighting over a door. But a few gunshot noises later, and the creature runs off, revealing...
Who the hell are you guys?
We have orders from General Mercer to provide you with any backup that you may need.
Now, according to General Mercer, there was some kind of uranium here. You know anything about it? Actually, this team got the illustrious status of actually being told what the fuck they're up against before being thrown into the grinder. This gives them a lot more manpower when it comes to Higgins' plan to set up an elaborate trap to capture a creature. Of course, still holding lethal weapons at the ready isn't filling Dr. Hodges with confidence, so she goes to tell on him, which leads to Polchek running his mouth.
Well, I tell you what, I do not want to be taking orders from some woman.
Yeah, I heard that.
Never mind all that camaraderie we saw between him and Coolidge earlier, he's actually a raging misogynist. As such, wouldn't you know it, he just so happens to run right into a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Proudfoot, played by Justina Vale, she's tough, but fair, and gives him a chance to explain himself.
You know, I do have a problem working with women because every time you turn around, well, they're on the rag.
What are they gonna have him say next? Now make me a sandwich to enjoy while you're sucking my dick. Everyone stops setting up the big elaborate trap so they can settle this fairly with arm wrestling, because that'll prove she doesn't get periods. As we could all see coming, she is very obviously beating Polchek, but then lets him win at the last second. If that's not enough to show she's better, there's one more detail.
You didn't catch it, did you? What? Look, she's left-handed.
Well, considering the differences in upper body strength on average thanks to sexual dimorphism, I'm just left wondering how fucking weak-armed Polchek really is. Higgins shows up, though, and doesn't give one fuck about your silly gender issues. There's a job to do, so just fucking do it. This leads to them actually setting up the trap they were supposed to, and us learning that they intend to take the creature with a tranquilizer round.
Polchek will fire 200 cc's of Atrovet into the creature's hindquarters.
Polchek?
Well, I figured since it was obviously going to fail, we may as well fuck it up now.
Be careful.
Well, how's this?
The look on his face tells me that he's actually just trying to get that man killed. It doesn't take long once they're in position before the dinosaurs arrive. I mean, yeah, there's this long story Higgins tells about how he doesn't like women in the team, which is news to me considering he didn't show any problems with the woman who was in the team, or the one who is now. But anyway, he was in a team with a woman, and she was a Mary Sue, but then died because plot. Thus, he's jaded. Shortly after finishing explaining what no one was wondering about, the dinosaurs arrive. This means we can get right to the point where everything goes fucking wrong. Wasn't Polchek supposed to be waiting there with tranquilizer rifle? What the fuck was he doing with a remote? A remote for what? He didn't establish that. Must have been pretty important as it looks like fucking everyone was tied into the trap for some fucking reason, but it's Polchek specifically who gets pulled towards the raptors and towards a horrifying fate. Up until everyone says fuck the tranq gun and just shoot the damn thing. And they do. And that's pretty much it.
You ain't dragging me around anymore. You know why? You're dead.
That would be a pretty good reason. Dr. Hodges is less than pleased to hear their live specimen is, well,
dead.
But that's not to say they can't get new and interesting data from the body that they drag back to base.
Cells seem to be repairing themselves.
What are you talking about?
Like motherfucking Wolverine, what the hell you think she means? Industrial strength neosporin? She slowly explains to them the concept of reptilian limb generation, points out that this creature is experiencing just that at an incredibly accelerated rate, yet none of these idiots ever think maybe they should tie the bitch down! That means we can watch in awe as these morons notice the thing twitching, breathing, and alive, yet still get surprised. Now, how the hell would you react if you woke up in a strange location surrounded by brain-dead zombies poking at you? Not only does this critter do some damage, but Garcia, played by Paul Darigo, is eaten by the suddenly materializing T-Rex that nobody at base fucking saw walking up to that tent. They manage to shoot the hell out of the beast, but while the raptors are Wolverine, the T-Rex is the Juggernaut, bitch, and no fucks are given. Thus they leave, and the heroes must come up with a new plan.
Gila monsters, that's it! We're taking them out right now!
Gila monsters? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? However, it turns out without them even having to succeed at any of their operations thus far, the Carnosaurs have actually managed to corner themselves on a ship. Thus, with the help of Rossi, played by Morgan England, they can separate them from the mainland.
I've been around ships all my life.
Oh, great. Sailboats, rowboats, kayaks?
My family's all Navy. I'm the first to join the Marines. I could handle it, sir.
Because as we all know, life skills are passed down through fucking. Which means he's still fucked up by not just joining the Navy, but whatever. They still, for some reason, want to take them alive, despite being able to kill them and still take them alive. So Polchek has the idea to use the ship's coolant to freeze the Carnosaurs.
Will that work, Doctor?
Yeah. They are cold-blooded.
In the first movie, you acknowledged the dinosaurs were avian. Each progressive film is getting objectively dumber. While continuing to do things as stupidly as possible, Dr. Hodges volunteers to tag along.
This is an extremely dangerous mission. There's no need for you to go along.
No one knows the Carnosaurus like I do, Colonel.
Great, so you'll be there to tell them all the ins and outs of the creature's new abilities after they already killed someone and they figured it out that way. Fucking brilliant. It doesn't take long at all after they board the ship to take it out to sea, and considering the creatures are not aquatic, the miles and miles they travel away from land should mean they can just sink the damn boat and that'll be the end of it. Still need one of those motherfuckers alive though, so our group goes down to commence Operation Dinosaurs Are Really Cool. Still, there are far too many people still alive at this point.
No! Sanders!
According to CNN, Sanders was doomed from the start anyway. The firefight might not be too bad, at least compared to the rest of the movie, but the fact that the raptors seem quite a step down from the second movie, which is already a step down from the first, it really doesn't help matters much. After all is said and done, the only ones left alive in the lower decks are Higgins, Polchek, and Proudfoot. Oh, and the Carnosaurs.
Son of a bitch is eating through the cable. Get back!
Yeah, don't worry about the gunfire cutting the big fucking steel cables. Those teeth are tough. Look out. Actually, according to the narrative, it's the teeth that send them falling all the way down to the bottom deck. It's here we learn that why, out of only 2 raptors to start, there are so many now. The T-Rex has been laying tons and tons of raptor eggs. Look, is this where they got the idea from for TriStar's Godzilla?
Cool.
Get out of there.
Yeah, just a second. We can't resist any and all opportunities to be complete fucking morons. Cause guess what? Mama Rex doesn't like when people shoot her raptor babies. Also, the whole take you alive to feed the kids part is kinda kicked in the ass when she kills the fuck out of Polchek. Either way, Higgins escapes the room along with Proudfoot.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I should have reacted. I don't know what happened to me.
Shitty writing. Happens to everyone in this movie. After meeting back up with Rossi and Hodges, Higgins explains their new plan is to kill all the Carnosaurs. Not by just sinking the fucking ship, but something far more complicated and cinematic. Turns out when they came to capture a live one, they just so happened to pack a fuck ton of C4 plastic explosive just in case.
We have enough C4 to ignite the ship's fuel supply. We have a remote detonator.
We also have Roger Corman producing, so it's unlikely that we're going to run into any problem that would be too expensive to film. Though you can't discount problems that involve special effects he's already paid for. And plus the fact the more actors he takes out, the less he has to pay.
Don't shoot!
Just don't shoot, because otherwise you might hit her, and that could be dangerous. You don't want her to be in a dangerous situation. Okay, the danger is over, now you can shoot away. Their rush through to plant the explosives eventually leads them right into the T-Rex, of course. This gives the beast the opportunity to corner the last 2 survivors in a cargo crate, where Higgins comes up with a plan. Chuck the last brick of C4 at the final boss while its mouth is open, and let the cinematic event take it from here. Well, that does explain it. It turns out the T-Rex has had a stick rammed up its ass this whole time. Problem is that was their only push to blow shit up button, and every other charge on the ship was set with a minor delay, so they must run away from the huge explosions. Naturally, the 2 of them make it out by the skin of their teeth.
I thought you were... Why, you thought I was dead?
How the fuck would you think that? He was right there screaming at you the whole time.
How would you feel about having a patient for a few weeks?
Think you can handle a woman being charged for that long?
He wasn't the one who had a problem with that. Polchek was. And he's fucking dead. Higgins just said that he didn't like having a woman on the team. Once. And you weren't around to hear that conversation. Who fucking wrote this shit? Point is, happy ending. They're together. And the power of love somehow means they can swim hundreds of miles back to shore. And the world is free of Carnosaurs. Fuck, no one ever came to pick up the car? And he was there how long and didn't die of dehydration? Oh, fuck, that's the least of this movie's problems. Anyway, that was Carnosaur 3. It fucking sucked. A little blunt, perhaps, but there's so many problems this time around, I find it very hard to even try to hold this up to the illustrious ideal of it's so bad it's good. Aside from the plot starting out promising and interesting, Carnosaur's accidentally released in California, it very quickly shoehorns itself into a corner with a very small scope and characters who are both moronic and inconsistent. It feels like this movie was trying to have Polchek be the comic relief, with a comedy coming from his idiocy. But considering just how stupid fucking every character was, I was surprised he wasn't the one leading them. Pretty much everyone was shallow, and the few attempts the movie gave to flesh out characters didn't work because of the ever-present lack of consistency. Of course, I have to come down on the effects this time around. The blood wasn't bad, but everything else was, again, a step down from the last two films. I keep bringing that up, but come on, we already know you can do better than this, so why are you trying to peddle shit here? Overall, Carnosaur 3 might at least be mildly entertaining for fans of low-budget crap, and I mean crap. But for fans of the series, so much is thrown away from the previous entries, it's hardly worth calling it a sequel, and on its own, so much is thrown away from the movie itself during each set change that it doesn't even stand up as a coherent work, coming in at one terrible shipment of terrible lizards out of 5. Maybe it was a high one, I guess. It was certainly not the worst movie I've reviewed. Alien Origin! Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado, and remember, that is the beginning of Dinosumber 2, the return of the revenge of the resurrection. And next week, I really hope I get my fucking couch back.
You ain't dragging me around anymore. You know why? You're dead.